Have you tried the new Pinpoint disposables yet? They're seriously smooth. They're so small they fit in that little coin pocket in your jeans. They're easy to use and they hit just right. And whether you're trying to chill or vibe or take things up a notch, these compact sized vapes bring the flavor and the effects without any hassle. Just grab one, take a hit, and you're good to go. They're perfect for when you're on the move or just kicking back, and they're definitely worth checking out. And if you want to check out more about Pinpoint vapes, check out pinpoint-extracts.com.
Welcome to Greenway Audio Magazine. I'm your host, Tim Pickett, and with me is my buddy and my co-host, Brandon Dunn. Brandon, how are you?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing well. How are you, man?
Good, man. I'm just trying to survive this weird Missouri weather. The shift between, what was it yesterday, 75 and then 30 last night, and then 60-mile-per-hour winds, and then tornadoes a little while ago, and it's insanity out there.
Snow, literally
Snow.
we had a day where we went from like 78, 80 degree temperatures to snow during the middle of the night.
I mean, dude, I love Missouri. Okay, I'll probably die here, but like the weather, bro. You know,
Missouri is literally my favorite like climate state because you get all of
them, all the
seasons,
yeah.
Sometimes at the same time.
Yes.
You don't get them when you're supposed to get them, but you do get all of them.
Get all of them. Yeah, in weird orders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reverse engineering stuff.
Yeah.
But I love Missouri weather and stuff. Like it's scary as shit.
Yeah.
I grew up in spent a lot of my formative years in Southeast Missouri and stuff where we have tornadoes all the time.
Yeah.
And so whenever I had first moved to Jefferson City, everybody around here was like, oh, tornado warnings, like not a big deal. Like that doesn't affect us here. And then Jeff City got leveled by a tornado a few years ago. And so now everybody takes it super serious.
Right.
One of the things that, speaking of tornadoes and stuff, Rolla got hit really hard this year. We had a few different cities around the state get hit. Rolla was one of those that was hit pretty hard. But Swade Dispensary in Rolla is donating or has donated a portion of all of their March sales to disaster relief efforts in the Rolla community. So
that's amazing.
Cool thing. Good segue for us to bring up our guest today whenever we're talking about Swade.
Who is our guest today?
Well, I thought you were going to tell me. I thought I teed you up well for that.
You did. Joey Pintozzi from BeLeaf. I am so excited. Joey, we've been talking about Joey on several podcasts, so to finally get him on here is great. He's the Chief Strategy and Revenue Officer at BeLeaf. So
he's also just a cool dude.
I know. Dude, he's jacked too, man. We live close to each other, so I wonder what gym he dominates. I'll have to ask him offline. But yeah, so
we could ask him online. Really put him on blast.
I mean, it's our show. But yeah, and Swade is new to Rolla, so they're really getting in there with the local community. I mean, I knew they would immediately anyway because they're such a good dispensary and extremely community oriented. Because I can say that being that their Ellisville location, which is now their Rolla location. They did a little swap with another dispensary company. It was very close to my house, and I loved it. They were very active in the community, just some of the best bud tenders, literally my home store. So I've always been a big fan of Swade and BeLeaf. So this is going to be a good episode, and I hope Rolla is surviving and rebuilding some of the stuff. We had a tornado touchdown here a few miles from our house too. So we just lost a couple panels of siding, and that was about it. And some bird nests. was raking yesterday and raked up some bird nests. I felt really bad. I put them back with the egg, but you're not supposed to do that, right? You can't touch it. Can't touch the eggs.
I don't know. I think that might be an old wives' tale.
Good. I think it is. I think it is.
Because we've had birds that I bought my house like 10 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And we've had birds that nest in our on our deck every year. Same pair of birds. And they've had nests fall down before, and we've moved them into like
Okay.
flower pots, and they still came back and took care of them and stuff. So
Okay. Well, they are chirping super loud today, so either they're happy that the sun's out, or they're mad because now they got to do the egg thing again. So I had to close my window. As much as I love hearing birds, I don't know if listeners would like to hear that.
yeah.
So window closed. What are some other news? I did see some.
Well, you were talking about community efforts and how much you like Swade, and obviously big fan of Swade. My favorite location of theirs is right across the street from the pageant.
Yeah,
that's
good
my
placement.
That's my before and after spot whenever I go to see a show, whether it's at Del Mar or the pageant.
Yep.
So love Swade. They always do really cool activations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're always really community focused. They've done a lot more stuff with music over the last couple years.
Yes, they have.
With Brandon Kavanaugh being over there, and they were at Evolution Fest last year. I think they're going to be at Evolution Fest again this year. They just have really cool community activations and stuff.
They do.
And I love dispensaries or brands that integrate into community activities and find unique opportunities to do stuff.
Yeah.
I know our friends over at C4 have started doing a terpene education series with Shangri-La.
Oh,
and
cool.
So they go in, and like once a month they go in and they have some snacks that have the flavor profiles. Like the last one I think was limonene. But they go in, they have some like lemony flavored type stuff. They talk and do some consumer education. Just kind of a neat thing. Shangri-La also, I don't know if they still do, but I know they always had at the Superstore in Columbia, their big location. They always had pinball leagues because they've got like 20 pinball machines.
Yeah.
Super cool. Like such a random, like unique thing for a dispensary to just have a bunch of pinball machines, but it created a unique community activation for them.
Yeah. Speaking of weird, cool, unique activations, Brandon, in Columbia, Fresh Karma opened up a new dispensary and had puppy yoga. I saw pictures of it. Pretty cute.
Columbia gets the cool events.
They do.
Puppy yoga and pinball leagues, and that's so pardon me because I'm not well versed in this. Can you explain puppy yoga to me?
I cannot because
you said you saw pictures, so I thought you at least had
it was just people like, hey, little puppy, but so I had a friend that did goat yoga, and she sent me pictures, and she was doing yoga stances and stuff. A little baby goat on her back.
Oh, okay.
So
they're just there like running amok.
I think they're just there. Yeah. I don't know if it calms the mood, opens the chakra.
I would assume it has something to do with just like the overall like relaxation and
energy
and endorphins aspect of it.
Right. So many dad jokes they're just flowing, and I'm not going to say them because they would be bad.
About what? About puppies?
That's a sheep. Whatever, dude.
A sheep?
I was bad.
Oh.
I just, someone explained dad jokes really well. It's that your dad used to be the funniest dude, and his jokes were awesome and disturbing and sometimes dirty and explicit. And then they had kids, and he can't do it anymore. So thus the invention of dad jokes. So when people blow off dad jokes, just remember that dude used to be hilarious. Okay. And this is all he can do anymore are dad jokes. So back off. Cool activations going on. Now, when you say activations,
we've seen.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go. No, you're all right.
Look at us just talking over each other.
Go ahead.
I always am confused when I hear activations. That means that they're having an event, right? But what does activations mean in this industry? I hear it a lot.
So I may not be using it correctly because other people may define it differently. For me, an activation is any kind of engagement between a company or brand with community or consumers.
Okay,
so
that makes
whether
sense.
it's an educational opportunity, whether it's a sale, my definition of activation is something where you're getting people to an activity, or you're bringing bringing your brand to a pre-existing activity.
Got it.
So, Doug, I know we talk a lot about Doug Hall and the Cannabis Agency.
Sure.
We just talked about Brandon Kavanaugh and the BeLeaf team.
Yeah.
For them, both of those groups do a really good job of taking cannabis and putting it where people are already at.
Sure.
Evolution Fest, Lohmeyer Art Park Festival
Sculpture Park.
thing.
Yeah.
That Mardi Gras, those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
Then conversely, Shangri-La, Pinball League, education series for terpenes, they're bringing people into their facility by providing services or providing entertainment or education or whatever that resonates with them.
Right.
And so I don't know if anybody else defines it that way, but for me, that's what I mean whenever I say activation. So activation and engagement are kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
Whenever I say it. So I apologize if I've ever confused anyone.
No, you did not confuse me. You helped explain the problem that I had, and now I had the solution, which is your answer. One thing that I did, that just popped into my head that I thought was interesting. Years ago, there was a dispensary on the other side of the river on the Illinois side. And on that side, there is very close to it is a racetrack, and there was a NASCAR event. Okay. Like, I think a real NASCAR event, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, which was a big deal, I guess, for the car racing fan base. And there's
alienate our listeners, Tim.
You never know. Never know who. Well, here's
I love racing.
Okay, well, here's what I'm going to say is that stereotypically, shame on you, when I think of NASCAR, I think of like Busch Light. I think of tailgating.
Oh, yeah.
American flags, loud music, all that, right?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So
get the blood pumping, the motor revving.
So the person that I was very close with that worked at this dispensary, she said she was going to go out and hand out flyers for a dispensary. And I was thinking, wrong type of crowd. I was wrong. She said it was a huge hit. Huge. Flooded the dispensary.
Let me just remind you that for longer than there's been Snoop Dogg, there's been Willie Nelson.
You're right.
Hank Williams Jr., Willie Nelson, Hank Williams, new generation with Hank 3, Tyler Childers. There's a lot of roots in country music, that are very pro cannabis, and one of the biggest reasons for that, and I can speak to this as someone who not only has a red beard but a little bit of a red neck. There's a very concise sentiment with a lot of people who enjoy country music that government's place is to maintain roads and schools and things like that, and other than that they need to mind their business. And so that's kind of the cannabis industry, man. Like this all started because somebody was like, the federal government doesn't know what's right for our state. And that's the same sentiment that a lot of times you get with country musicians and people in rural areas is, I don't want people in cities to dictate what I do in the privacy of my own home and in my land and things like that. And, there's very much an independence perspective to it. And I think that's part of why it resonates, is because where do you really grow weed? If you've been growing weed for 20 or 30 years in Missouri, and whether it was in the traditional market or for personal use, most people weren't growing it in big facilities in downtown whatever city. They were growing it out in the woods or out in farms, and especially if you were growing it for personal use, you may have been like my dad and left some seeds in the top drawer of your dresser before you enlisted in the military, and grandma may have found these seeds and hypothetically put them in a planter, and 18 months later, Cub Rubel from the sheriff's department may have hypothetically shown up at her door and said, hey, you got a big plant out there. She's like, yeah, it's just got the prettiest little buds on it, but nothing ever flowers.
Oh, okay.
And
plot twist.
The solution to that was they cut it down and set it on fire in the driveway.
Neighborhood party.
It was apparently like a 6.5 foot tall plant. So
that's great.
Cannabis regulation in the country back in the 80s, man.
Yeah. That's great.
Shout out to my dad.
Yeah. What a story. One little interesting news of note is and we don't have to talk about it too long, but I always thought it was cool. Anytime I see Missouri in the news or St. Louis in the news, Wall Street Journal has an article, How Missouri Became a Cannabis Mecca. So, that's kind of cool. But, you're talking about, small towns, and, one of the things that they brought up about why Missouri is so successful is the fact that, a lot of these companies are repurposing old, long vacant warehouses and factories, which, is contributing to the revitalization or economic boom of these small towns. And I mean, there are dozens of examples here in Missouri, but it was cool to see a national publication point that out,
Yeah.
So it was good. I'll post the link in here. And they mentioned some people. They mentioned Tyler Hannigan from Robust. Of course, they talked to Mitch Myers from BeLeaf. C3. There were a couple of people that were mentioned.
There's a lot of tie-ins to BeLeaf today and what we're talking about.
And it wasn't on purpose. So, yeah.
The BeLeaf episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was cool.
I also, to what you just said, I think that also went a long way to the normalization and acceptance of medical very quickly.
Yeah.
For my family is from not the deep southeast Missouri, not like Chaffee or anything like that, like down in the boot heel. But we're, St. Francis County, Iron County, Washington County, kind of that area. And I remember talking to a few people at the early stages of medical, and the thing that I brought up was in Farmington. I remember, like, literally just a few years before the first dispensary opened, there were people standing across the road from a video rental place, picketing because they had an adult movie section inside of the video rental.
Yeah, in the back.
And whenever we came into medical marijuana, there was no real resistance or anything to dispensaries opening down there and things like that. And part of the reason that it gained so much acceptance so quickly was because, especially in these economically disenfranchised places that are more rural, we saw job opportunities, we saw job creation, we saw revitalization of the economy, and we saw something new that provided opportunities for people. And it's amazing how quickly you can change attitudes whenever you present opportunities for people to be successful again.
Absolutely.
Speaking of successful operations and operators, let's go ahead and talk to Joey Pintozzi.
Let's do that. But first, Brandon.
When you demand the finest, every detail matters. At Teal Cannabis, they don't just create products, they craft experiences. From their expertly extracted concentrates to their carefully rolled pre-rolls and precision-engineered vapes, every product is crafted with the highest standards in mind. They believe in quality that speaks for itself. That's why they ensure that each Teal product delivers a smooth, consistent experience every time. Teal Cannabis. Elevate your experience.
Welcome back to Greenway Audio Magazine. Today we have our guest that we've been extremely excited to bring onto the show for a long time, Joey Pintozzi, who is the Chief Strategy and Revenue Officer at BeLeaf Medical. Joey, thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's been long overdue.
Absolutely. I think you come up at least once every episode or two. Brandon, don't you agree?
Oh.
It's definitely more frequently than most people.
Yes.
A lot of people have bad things to say about.
No, it's always good stuff. It's always good stuff. So Joey, how long, I was trying to think of this, but obviously you will know the answer. How long have you been with BeLeaf now?
Yeah, so I came over, I had left base in May, and I had joined. I actually had, been trying to figure out my next step. I wanted to take a little break and kind of evaluate. So I had, Mitch Myers, Tom Muzzy, Kevin Riggs, huge fan of those guys, even from across the state. And, I had talked to Mitch and Riggs and Muzzy, and they're like, hey, you're making your decision. Will you come over and maybe do some consulting for us? So I technically started there in January, and then Riggs, Mitch, and Tom brought me on full time in February of last year.
Okay. That's great. I can tell you, I'd start off this way. I have been a huge fan of BeLeaf and Mitch Myers. She's the reason I'm even in cannabis.
That's awesome.
She knows that. And even before 2018, when BeLeaf had like one of the 2 CBD licenses,
Yeah.
went out there and toured the facility with Mitch. Over the years, I've been a fan. I've worked with BeLeaf multiple times, and it seems just like any company starting, there's been a lot of shifting, a lot of moving parts, a lot of positions changing, people changing, moving, all that kind of stuff. And it seemed to be like that for a while until recently. And I feel like BeLeaf has an extremely solid foundation with the team they have right now, and I assume you would agree.
I would definitely agree. And that was one of the most attractive things to me when I was considering what to do next. I've always taken pride in every industry I've been in. I've considered myself a team builder, and I knew coming into this, as I spent about a month with them prior when I was consultant, that they had all the right people. Sometimes you have all the right people, they might be in the wrong places. But I think, after sitting with Muzzy, Riggs, and Mitch and hearing their visions and where they wanted to go, I got super excited because I knew they had all the right people in the right places. We just needed to find a North Star and get going.
Yeah, it seems like you got it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of your team. Like,
Yeah.
I know you've brought in some people have shifted roles.
Yeah.
Who are the people that you'd like to highlight?
Well, I mean, it all starts, I believe, with the 3 I keep mentioning, the visionaries of the company, and Riggs and Muzzy and Mitch. But really, man, we've got an amazing team. Like I said, I know I've talked to Brandon about this before, but I get giddy when I say this because I love shining the spotlight on my team. And I mean, Justin and Katie out there at Cultivation and Manufacturing have set the tone, right? We made a new commitment to really, really focus on our quality and consistency of our products. And I put them, I mean, call me biased, but I put them in the top of the industry at getting it done. And our quality level is up here. We compete on a high level when it comes to those things. You can't go wrong, when you get to work side by side with Mo Muzzy every day. I'm in awe all the time, and I say this. People are like, what is one thing that stands out to you about this industry? And aside from the, it being exciting and ever changing landscape, the business is completely different. It could be a change as soon as 4 months, but the amount of brilliant young people that we have. And Mo is one of those. She's a natural leader. It's a true pleasure to get to work with her. And she's so strategic, but yet such a people person, and people just, they love her in this industry. Brandon Kavanaugh, man, he was
My guy.
He's a great creative guy. He has there's so much about him and his background that reminds me of myself and where he comes from. He comes from the hospitality world. There's a grit there, right? When we repositioned him into his new role. So I'll back up a little bit. Some of those position changes. Mo has moved on up from our director of sales to our VP of procurement and sales. So she's got an expanded role. Brandon, when we first got there, he was serving as our events, our field marketing events coordinator. And I quickly, talked to him, and we knew we wanted to take BeLeaf through a slight rebrand and get all of our brands, Sinse and Swade, not necessarily merged, but running parallel towards the same North Star. So I moved him over to director of brand strategy. The guy's awesome, man. He's gritty. He's forward thinking. He's creative. He's got a branding mind. So he's now our director of marketing. So you can go on from our finance department to everybody. We've got an expanded our directors. We have a new director of retail on the east side, Becca. She's amazing. We're bringing over the west side now with Sierra. She's I can't I can't say enough about these brilliant young people, their grit. I love solution-based thinkers, and I'm surrounded by them. Creative solution-based thinkers. I always tell young people, you know, if I can give you four things to focus on, you know, never live in an echo chamber, never be the smartest person in the room, attack everything relentless, and don't be afraid to lose. And you do those things and you're going to be in a good position. And I feel that's everybody in our organization, top to bottom. There's a ton more to mention that brings so much spunk and fire. Everybody from Topher to Madeline to Haley I don't know if you guys know Cam. Cam's an old school marketer, was over there on the Base May side. He had left and went on to other things, and we brought him back. He's heading up all of our digital strategy. Brilliant mind. Acquired taste, but I love him to death. So we're like, I really feel no bias. Like I love our team, man.
I think one of the things that you touched on in highlighting different people, you know, obviously Mo was shown recognition this year whenever she was named best wholesale salesperson.
Deserved.
But I think that running down that list and talking about the culture that has been created by you has been added to a stellar foundation with Mitch and Kevin Briggs and Tom, is that the company from the top down over the last year plus has really reinvented itself to me back to its roots.
Yeah.
And you and I have had the conversation before, but I think that that's something that people recognize, and I truthfully think that's a large part of why BeLeaf was named Company of the Year by Greenway readers this year. We've had the conversation previously that whenever you looked at the beginning of medical, even before licenses were issued, you had a few brands that were already out there. You had Clover, you had Camp, you had Sinse and Swade, you had Proper, you know, the Red Tractor, which never came to fruition, but there were a handful of brands that everybody knew were going to be there. I'm about to butcher the name because I've never said it right. Besame. But there were these brands that existed even before we really had licenses.
That's right.
And everybody knew what Sinse was. Everybody knew what Swade was. And right at the time where it seemed like they really started hitting their stride, there were a bunch of changes and a bunch of decisions that strategically seemed to go against the foundation of being a Missouri first, Missouri centric originator company. And whatever the results of those decisions were, and the things that took place between that point and this point, I think what the industry has seen over the last year is a redistribution of focus from BeLeaf, from the top down, of everybody being like, let's buy back into what started all of this. And that culture of medicine and quality and Missouri and community. And you have such a strong team and such a strong brand representation because of the roots in St. Louis and the roots in the people that are there. I've talked to Kevin a few different times. That picnic table.
That's it. Yeah. Still sits in front of the office. Yeah.
That's the thing that I think a lot of people don't get about the defining characteristic of BeLeaf is not to be overly punny, but I think the core value of BeLeaf as a company is belief in the company.
Well, I mean, well said. Yeah, I've always thought of them, even before I joined the team, as kind of the OGs of the industry, and there's a lot, from everything that Mitch has done to Riggs's vision to Muzzy's contribution from a business sense. So it's not to be punny either, but since the beginning, it's literally has been this company. And I think what we've done a really good job on is not losing focus on those things and getting back to our commitment to quality and the people. And when I say the people, I mean patients, customers. I mean customers not just that visit our retail, but the relationships we have in this industry, rather it's a third party retail relationship or a wholesale. And I think, as we kind of gone through this rebrand, and there's a little bit more edginess to us. That's came out when some of our new campaigns, Life Should Be Dope, but we haven't lost that sense of our roots and our people. And I think that's probably my favorite thing about everybody in this company, even over to our finance department, like Scott and Bob and Alonzo. And we are people's people, folksy people. And we look on every level to connect with people. And I think that pours out of our brand and it pours out of our products.
You talked a little bit about when you were mentioning the people. I paid a little bit of attention there. Heard a few names that you talked about on the west side of the state.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've seen with BeLeaf over the last year is expansion under the Swade umbrella for retail. You guys acquired a couple licenses in different areas outside of St. Louis. We were talking about the Rolla location earlier. You guys have the Eureka location, and now you guys are adding more people. Talking about your history as a team builder, you're bringing some OG team members into the fold.
Right.
Can we talk about that at all?
Yeah, we can touch on it. So there's a couple parts to it, right? We like everybody else were excited at any opportunity that would come across our table, our plate for expansion. And we feel like we have a great product. And listen, we want to grow. We want to compete as. Let me back up. As folksy and people centric as we are, we like to compete too, and at a high level. That's another thing that I really love about this company is we push each other every day, and so some opportunities came, and we acquired the Eureka location. Great little store, great supportive community. They have embraced us so well. We've enjoyed, the customers and patients that are visiting that store are about up 3x since we had taken that over at the end of last year.
You guys haven't even got to Six Flags season there yet.
No, we haven't got to enjoy that fully. Rolla, that whole community in town excites me. Our CEO, Kevin Riggs, actually went to school and played football down there. So it's fun to go back there with him and walk through the stomping grounds. But man, they had such a great team in place already. John and Lauren run that store down there, and they've done an amazing job with that. So we were really excited to get into that community, support that. That's a big thing for us too, right? We want to support the community on every level that we can when we go into a neighborhood, a community, not just from a cannabis perspective, but from a humanitarian perspective, from a municipality, however it is. We want to be an active part of the community. And I think that's a huge part of normalizing cannabis too, right? Is everyday support. I know Rolla was just greatly affected by the tornadoes and the storms down there. We're raising a little money for them, and some proceeds are going to go back to the city. But we really love that community down there. Full circle, we had the opportunity to expand into the Kansas City and Warrensburg area. So on February 3rd, we had closed a deal, which we were able to begin operations of those stores through an MSA, managed services agreement. And yeah, that was full circle. That was, I came I came back to the Midwest from the hospitality world after COVID wrecked it in 2019, and in November of 2019 to get that first Besame store open there over there at Smithville. And there was 13 of us that were in that little old store, which is doing great. And so many of them are still intact and have became leaders of the company now. So it's fun to get back over there and get to working with my old team. The cultures, right, are just merging. Like everything's so beautiful and going so well. It gives me anxiety. I'm not used to I'm used to things being on fire. And it's been fun to go back. I consider, Kansas City home. That's where most of my family is. So to get back there and get with all my friends, all my old coworkers, and to give them the tools and the assets, I think there's a big piece of it, right? Operating the way we do as a vertical on BeLeaf prior to the management of Besame, who was an independent retailer. So the resources and tools that we're able to give those awesome teammates and great operators over there, the support we're able to give Sierra and Alex and Cam and all them in marketing, it's going to be something special. And the buy-in has been incredible. So it's been a full circle moment for me. I always joke around and say, hey, man, you're on the right path in life when you come full circle. And it feels good.
That's a great point. I mean, things are going well that on the BeLeaf side, expanding. I mean, almost doubling in size.
Yeah, we doubled in size. Yeah.
Gosh. And then just the community aspect has always been very strong with you and your team. As far as products, I know, the infused pre-rolls kind of got into that game last year. I just so you know, I am leading the charge. I am leading a campaign to bring Zoot gummies back. I know it was before your time, Joey, but Zoot gummies were like the OG Swade gummies.
Yeah.
I loved them.
I've actually heard.
Wait, were those pronounced Zoot?
Yes, I learned they were pronounced Zoot, but it looks like Zoet.
Zoet. Yeah.
I always thought.
Zoet.
Yeah,
I always thought it was.
I know.
I always thought it was sweet. I can't
favorite.
pronounce anything. I'm such an idiot.
Zoot.
Joey Pintozzi from Besame eating some sweet gummies. God,
I can live with Pintozzi. Like I said, that's how teachers and police always pronounce this.
So what are is there anything you can talk about as far as product lines go?
I mean, first of all, our commitment to just our backbone, our bread and butter is great flower, right? And that's what we continue to try to. I always say, when it comes to products or it comes to customer service and retail operations, it's never a process. It's always a journey, because you're never going to be perfect. But as long as you're on that journey to get perfect, great things are going to happen. And so flour has always been a backbone for us. It's funny to wear this hat into an airport or anything since and have people go, blueberry muffin. You know what I mean? Like that's just it's a staple, and it happens every time. It happened to me in Denver. So yeah, I think and then secondary, we've done an amazing job with our pre-rolls, launching Since Fire this year, our infused, which is, we can't, as soon as it hits the market, it's gone. That's the only problem. Our 12-pack pre-rolls, same thing. Our pre-rolls have definitely came up. But I really think, I'm a fan of all of our products, but I think, a sleeper that we have is we've really moved the dial. And when it just comes to brand rankings in the state, we moved into top 10, sometimes in the top 5 in concentrates. So Katie over there, the awesome mad scientist she is, we're always continuing to look at the market and see what's next. Riggs will come in the office all the time, and you'll think you're telling him something positive, and then he'll just stop and be like, okay, what's next? So that's our mindset here. I know we're working on getting in our stores some of the gummy line back. We just did some baller jars. So yeah, we're always on the up and up, trying to get ahead of the market. I think everybody, if you get into a perfect place, is just not understanding the market and the needs of the market and the segments, right? There's different needs for different people, but also if you can ever get to a place where you can start where the market's going, and um, that's a big piece of it. But it all comes down to us. Like, we know our bread and butter is our flower.
I will say, as a gummy guy, one of my favorite promotional packaging, type things over the last couple years was, I was looking around to see if I still had it on my shelf. It's actually over there underneath something. Was the ugly sweater holiday box last
Yeah.
year?
Oh yeah, that
Um,
was.
and that came with. Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna knock some stuff over. This is one of my
Yeah.
favorite things that's been in the Missouri market in the last couple of years. That survival kit came with, uh, flour.
Yeah.
It came with concentrate. It came with the gummies, and it truly was like a holiday survival
Yeah.
kit.
It was.
Everything in there was top flight. Everything was good.
Yeah.
But if you haven't had the gummies yet, the gummies that came in that, I had like the orange flavor,
Yeah.
and maybe blood orange.
Yeah.
I don't.
Blood orange usually.
Um, and they were delicious. And I love this. We talk about
Yeah. Yeah.
we talk about smart branding, we talk about smart marketing.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things that Tim and I talk a lot about is being not just conscientious but proactive, doing things that are intentional.
Yeah.
And you talked earlier about the Life is Dope campaign, which was also nominated for
Yeah.
Best of the Industry this
Yeah.
past year. Don't thank me, I didn't do it. But,
Oh,
but it
that's
was
everybody.
nominated.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
It was nominated, but you guys have a really good way of identifying your products and your brand and tying Sinse to Swade and Swade to Sinse.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good example of that. I think that goes along with, we talk about the different locations, the different Swade locations. Each one kind of has its own vibe to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I told Tim earlier, my favorite location is right across from Del Mar and the pageant.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right down there. But each, you've got one that's built in an old church. You've got one that's, got these crazy murals all down the walls and stuff like that. And it seems like it's such a unique integration into each individual neighborhood or community.
That's I'm glad you said that, because that's what we go for, and that's why, that was one thing that I know Mitch originally had did when they got those stores open, but I also wanted to do when I was over on the Base May side. I think there's something. I hate to use them as an example, but I admire what they did. If you think about an Applebee's, you go into an Applebee's, you're in an Applebee's, but every Applebee's is retrofit to whatever neighborhood and community they're in. Right. And that's exactly the way my head works too, is, we want to immerse ourselves, not just in our culture, but neighborhood by neighborhood. So retrofitting each store in, and the same thing goes, you'll start to see it on the Base May side, which is now Swade. You'll see that in Smithville. You'll walk in, you're going to, hey, Swade Smithville, Kansas City, Berry Road, everything, it's going to have its unique feel, but you're still going to know you're in a Swade store. And not just the branding and everything, but the customer experience. Yeah, I'm really, really happy, and I'm really, really proud of Brandon and the marketing team. Like I said, with this I'm glad you mentioned it, because that's exactly what we tried to do, is get Sinse and Swade to run parallel with each other. And I'm one of those marketing people. I come from the hospitality and entertainment world, where I think the biggest mistake a lot of marketers do, even though we did it with that, is put an ROI on everything, right? If you're trying to put an ROI on marketing, you're not thinking about marketing right. I think that you get people to go, wow, or what the F, or turn their head and just look. And then once those people look or walk over to see what it is you're doing, understand them. Who are they? Where are they coming from? Hook them, right? But yeah, I think, a lot of marketing is noise. I steal a quote from Cam, actually. And he once said that, marketing is starting the fire and seeing who comes and warms their hands at that fire, and then understanding exactly who they are and why they're there. And I couldn't have said that better. So, we went through this whole brand foundation campaign where we really, shout out to Rob and Courtney, some amazing creatives that we brought in, but we really started at the roots. And you guys have laid it out in this conversation. We dug into the founders of this company, and we took everything that was in their head and heart. And then we interviewed people throughout the company, cultivation, manufacturing, retail. So we got everything mixed together, and even down to our color palettes, our new color palettes. We were like, what is Sinse going to say? And as we were digging into it, there's this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful palette that's enticing, that relates to the people that was found in Swade. So we pulled them together, and I'm glad that you pulled up that box, because that's exactly that. That was a great, we wanted to be fun. We knew people had to deal with their family on holidays, and everybody can use a little something extra for that. But I think that box right there is kind of a measurement and a milestone in our new brand foundation and where it took us. So I'm glad you brought that up, Brandon, because that's the kit did great. They performed well, but that's how I seen it. I seen it as the first true parallel, thing that we have done was Sinse and Swade running together like that. And that's exactly what I wanted people to see. And I think Brandon did a great job of, that was his brainchild.
So does that mean that this year, with your expansion into the west side of the state and Kansas City, we're going to see like the Fleur de Lis reinvented as some fountains or something?
So yeah, we've if you look at our newer dispensaries that have came on, there's a nod to the leaf, right? But like I said, we're gonna retrofit everything to the communities that we're in. Everybody knows I'm based out of here in St. Louis, and I love St. Louis, but I'm Kansas City through and through. So there's a lot over there that I love and miss, and there's a lot over here that I love, and putting them together is really, really fun, man. It's fun.
Joey's like, our new logo is just a fountain spitting barbecue sauce with a KC in the background.
Yeah. That's right. A big Chiefs logo.
Yeah. It's interesting, Joey. You brought up the, Applebee's. They kind of, they work with their local communities. You go into one and you see jerseys from the local high school on the wall, and it kind of like, this is a, hometown community atmosphere. And you guys have done that with Swade's. Even a couple years ago, my hometown store was the Ellisville location, rest in peace, but has also reemerged in Rolla right now, which is great.
Yeah.
But going in there and seeing a Swade Ellisville shirt, I was like, hell yeah. Because usually, it goes to the big city. You would think it would be the company name and maybe the arch or the main city.
Yeah.
No, you guys broke it into the community and smaller city that those dispensaries are in. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
Because, when you're usually very sensitive and love the communities you're from, even if it is an Ellisville, that kind of thing. And I thought that was awesome. You guys did that.
That's going back to the beginning of the conversation we just had in our roots. And I think we do a really good job. That's our brand. It's the connection with the people in the community. and being able to understand the segments and the differences and still have a connection. I mean, that connection for us is cannabis, right? It's a connection with everybody. I don't care where you're from, what you listen to, what you like, what your politics are, blah, 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 blah. You know, cannabis for us is that connection, and it's that common ground and that groundbreaker. It's our brand, and you know, it's the marketing team probably just gets annoyed by me because I'm always like, there's a difference between branding and marketing, right? And there really, really is. And you know, marketing is all the strategies you use, ever-changing tactics to drive revenue that are related to your brand. But your brand is that damn connection. It's that tugging on the heartstrings. It's a long-term commitment to your communities and to the people. And that's what a great brand is. At least that's the way I was always taught. So yeah, this all relates to our brand and who we are.
That's great.
I've always heard and said brand is the personality. It's the ethos and the ethics behind
Absolutely.
the company.
Yeah.
And marketing is how you either educate people about the brand or how you get people to buy the product.
That's
and
right.
So you can pick which one of those routes you want to go with your marketing, or you can do both, but your brand has to be the culture and foundation of the company and the identity. And that goes everything from your human resources
Yes.
and your community interactions. It's how you handle your public face, and how you would handle, you know, a crisis, how you would respond to, you know, something negative happening, as well as all the positives. And I've always felt that brand is the ethical center of what a company should be.
That is one of the best ways I've ever heard it put, and it is absolutely true, top to bottom. I mean, you're right. Every department, from not just the people who make the products and sell the products, but the people who contribute. You know, Marilyn and Doug over at HR. That's everybody is this brand and part of this brand, and the way we interact with people on every level is part of that brand. The way we carry ourselves, the way we talk to people and treat people. So yeah, I know I take a lot of pride in wearing this hat. And I know I take a lot of pride in wearing this hat and going to fight for my team and compete with them every day.
Man,
Well, Joey,
Tim
thank
was
you
talking
so
about
much.
dad jokes earlier. That was a great one.
I was.
Because he's wearing the hat.
I love dad jokes. I got one I stole off the internet for you. Horse walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Hey." Horse says, "Sure."
I mean, that's all you need. I mean, that is
That's
it
all
right
you
there.
need.
Got him.
Got him.
I want to do a funsy before we sign off.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Greenway Audio Magazine's new segment. What's in your rotation?
All right. So we know that now that we got all the serious stuff out of the way, and we've talked business and we've talked brand, and we got little tears in our eyes whenever we talk about company ethos and culture, and getting to go back to your hometown and rally the troops that you brought in from the beginning and stuff like that. Now we get to the serious stuff.
Okay.
As a man who built his professional resume and background in entertainment, as a dude that I know loves music as much as myself and Tim and our mutual salad bro for life, Tim Guchenritter.
Shout out to Emma's Timmy.
I want to know before I let you go today. I want to know what's in your playlist right now. What are the 2 or 3 things at the top of the list? You know, whether it's a classic or something brand new.
Yeah,
hit me with something.
It's awesome. I feel like I got a great playlist right now. Right, I got a lot of the. I've been listening to that new Sleep Token song, constant rotation.
Dude, me too. Nonstop.
Deftones are coming, so
Got 'em.
I'm stoked. I you know, shout out to Leo Mancuso, my concert buddy. We're going to see the Deftones. Also going over to see Kill Switch, so I had to get that back in the rotation.
I was there.
Yeah. I had there's some amazing great bands opening for them. You know what? I got a different side to me that really enjoys Chicago drill, hip hop.
Really?
Yeah. So I listen to a lot of Little Dirk and things like that. Keen Vaughn. I enjoy all that stuff. Old school. Always. I got a weird mix that I like to listen to when I go run or walk. It's a Slayer and WA playlist, and it is just it's a good time. Yeah. So I think you mix that into the world, and then you know my family. I'm half Italian, so I was raised on Sinatra. That I always go back to that type of stuff. But that pretty much is my world to an extent, almost every day. I would say, you know, I've really started to get into this band called Boundaries lately. Um,
Yes.
they're fun, man. They're all over the
Yes.
place. They're heavy.
The drummer sings.
They're I'm hooked on I've been listening to them constantly for about the last week.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I'm glad you
See?
brought this up, Brandon.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can talk about it all day long, you know.
Oh, dude, I
Me
can
too.
too.
It's
I
fun.
love music, man.
Vegas was always fun for me because, you know, in the clubs, it's always, you know, house or hip hop, and it's always just dum, dum, dum. And I spent my life there, but I was just a punk rock metal kid at heart. And it was fun.
I grew up on punk rock and metal, and I always liked hip hop a little bit. My family's mostly country and stuff like that. So I had this like weird mix of all these stuff, and then at the same time, my mom's really into classical music.
Yeah.
So I've got like southern rock. Like in the course of a day, I'm listening to like Leonard Skinner and Mozart and Chopin and NWA or
Yeah.
Coolio and No Doubt and Real Big Fish and Rancid. And then over the last couple years, I've gotten really into I had a daughter, but even before I had my daughter, I really liked girl pop.
Oh yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I played in some hardcore bands. We were doing covers of like Since You've Been Gone and
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Oops, I Did It Again and stuff like that. But since I've had my daughter, I've gotten really into like Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodrigo
Sabrina
and
Carpenter.
all those. Sabrina
My
Carpenter.
daughter's got me hardcore into Sabrina Carpenter right now. So
And then in my mid 30s, all of a sudden I discover EDM and dubstep and the womp womp and house music. Turns out I really like electronica. And so I found a band like a year or two ago that kind of incorporates all of that. And it's Electric Callboy.
Electric Callboy.
Love them.
I got to check
Joey, you would love them.
Electric Callboy. I'm writing it down right now.
They got humor. They're extremely talented. They're heavy as hell. They also have some EDM influence. Oh my gosh.
I love it. I think you guys are probably a lot like me where it comes a point that, you know, that music's such a passion. Like I always say, outside my family, my happy places are live music and sports. And it gets almost genre-less. I just like good music. I love watching musicians perform. I don't care if it's country, hip hop, class. I just love music. I love the feeling that it gives me. And I think that's always, 'cause speaking of old Timmy G, I think that's where, you know, he's always been one of my favorite, just to sit and talk and listen to music with or watch him play. He's a pretty damn awesome musician, by the way.
Very talented dude. And that's music is the same way for me. One of my main playlists is called In a Van Down by the River. Because if anybody ever like looked at it, they would assume that it had to be cultivated by some schizophrenic dude that lived in a van down by the river. It's literally the stuff I just told you about, everything from, you know, Taylor Swift and Miley Cyrus to Osiris and Mastodon and
I love Mastodon.
and you know, back to like Dr. Dre and Eminem and Aesop Rock and that type of stuff. It's really all over the place. But one of the things that I really enjoy about doing the podcast with Tim is the same thing that you just said about Tim Guchenritter is the same. One of my favorite things about him is one of my favorite things about Tim Pickett. He has a music story or a music insight that relates to everything.
I love it.
He sat here and explained the Entourage effect as the Red Hot Chili Peppers the last podcast. Like, hey, dude's wild, man. you can't ask for a better partner than that.
I mean, music takes you back to like the thing about music that's amazing is when you hear a song, no matter how long ago it was, it can take you back to that same place and give you that same feeling. And you could close your eyes and see everybody who was there. You know, like the Smashing Pumpkins Siamese Twins album does it for me. Like I can go back to that summer and and just that feeling, that blissful feeling. Like that's the amazing thing about music. I think it, you know, it probably, if it's connecting with you like that, I feel that you're probably leaning more towards a creative, which is awesome. Like I am one of those people that gets goosebumps or tears from music or a good live performance. And so yeah, man, I totally.
I cry.
Yeah.
I cry at Campbell's Soup commercials, but that's because I'm emotionally unstable. So
yeah. My daughter told me the other day, you know, I offered to take some of her friends from across the street to a movie, and she's like, "No, Dad, you might cry." And I was like, "Oh, no way, we're going to Wicked." And you know what? It almost got me.
Man, you sit there and you hear the what is the title? What is the main track? Gravity.
Yeah.
Defying Gravity. And
yeah. It was good. Yeah.
Nice.
I could talk music with you all day long, man. I do miss that old, you know, that's one part of my past that I miss the most is the live music, the entertainment, the music venues. But
well, now you guys are involved with Evolution Music Fest every year, and you're involved with Delmar and the pageant and stuff. So
still get our taste, and we got a guy on our team, Topher. Topher's awesome. Used to be a partner over there in Diamond Music Hall. So he always is, you know, bringing cool events and great ideas for shows and stuff like that. So yeah, it's fun to be a part of it.
Well, whenever me and Tim are going to a show, I'll start making sure that we invite you to go with us as well.
All right? My question for you guys now, before you get out of here,
okay,
what's your favorite venue to go to here in Missouri? Could be anywhere, St. Louis, Kansas City, wherever.
The Factory just took over my number one spot. It was the pageant for a long time, and then the Factory. I'm just obsessed with it. It's just a beautiful venue.
Yeah,
the whole art piece in the middle, I think, was created by the people that did Burning Man. Like there's it hasn't been around long, but you feel like there's a little bit of history in there. I love it.
I know some of the booking team over there from the AG side, and they're top notch. And I've heard, I haven't been myself, but except for the MoCan events, right? But I've heard that the sound is to die for.
It's amazing.
Everything I've seen over there has been really, really good.
Nice.
So kind of random, and I wouldn't say that I've seen anything. I've seen a lot of concerts, other places that I would have liked. I've never seen exactly what I want to see there, but Ozarks Amphitheater in Lake of the Ozarks.
I've heard
because of what it is and how it's set up. There's not a bad seat in the entire place. You can see from anywhere. It's open, an open air venue. So think Riverport with a third of the size, and it's right next to maybe not right next to the lake, but close enough to the lake that you get a good breeze, and it's super comfortable in the summer and stuff. It's most of what I've seen out there is, stand up comedy and country concerts and stuff like that. Not a bad thing, but I'd love to see what happened if like Rancid or NoFX or Taking Back Sunday or something like that came in and really got a chance to make the entire side of the hills just move up and down. But I think it's underrated, and also the cost is. I think the most expensive ticket I've bought out there was like $100,
Oh,
and
that's sweet.
I was like 10 rows from the stage. Like,
Yeah.
underrated for sure.
We're gonna have to make a commitment, the three of us, to catch at least one show together this year.
Deal.
Big or small, it don't matter.
Deal.
I love them all. I love going to a 30-person show as much as I love going to
Same.
16,000. You know?
Yep. Agreed. Well, thank you so much, Joey, for joining us today. This was an amazing conversation, and we're really looking forward to seeing everything that's happening with BeLeaf, with the expansion and all the products and everything. So thank you for your time. And once we have a music episode, we're bringing you right back.
Please do. And thank you for everything you guys do, man. That's important. Appreciate
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you a lot. I'm excited to be able to hit up a concert with you, and whenever we do the music episode, you and me and Tim, and it'll be fun. But congratulations on all of your personal success. Thanks. And congratulations on all the success and growth of BeLeaf and Sinse and Swade over the last year. You guys earned Company of the Year for a reason.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I know we are excited, man. Sometimes you just get to work and you get going, and it's the little things like that stop you in the moment and go, okay.
Beautiful. Thanks everybody.
That's a great ending spot.
Next week.